Hey, welcome.
Well, as you're doing that, I'm hearing, hey, boo boo.
Hey, boo boo.
Hey, boo boo. For those of you listening to the highly professional, highly skilled version of Power of You that this is, that was from a cartoon called Yogi Bear. You probably have never seen it or heard of it, but there you go. There you go.
Hanna-Barbera.
Hey,
Yeah.
hey, boo boo.
Hey, boo boo.
They were the
Yogi.
kings in those days. They were the kings.
Yes, they
So
were. I love those cartoon shows.
I know.
Yeah, those were really good. And there were some very interesting, life lessons in those things.
I know. Yes, there were. I still sneak them in. If I'm up early on a Saturday morning, I'll find them on YouTube when I have my first cup of coffee and
Well,
watch a
Saturday
little.
morning is when I used to watch them.
Yeah, that was the day, right? That was cartoon day. Cartoon day. But
Hey,
speaking
and
of
we had
cartoon day, welcome
Cartoon
to
Day.
Power of You.
And Peggy McCall has just shown up as and I like your comment, Peggy. Here's two amazing, wise, and incredible men. You know what you're talking about.
Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Welcome to, yes, the Power of You. What are we talking about today,
We're
Dr.
going to talk
White?
about AI, but we're going to talk about AI from not the AI perspective, but from the leadership point of view. And when you're leading into change now, and it's there's this misconceived idea out there that this is a technological change, that changes have not happened in the past before. Yeah, they have.
Yeah. Get over that one real quick.
Yeah, they have. So we're gonna explore that today. That is our day today. That's what we're doing, and we'll have some fun while we're at it.
I love having fun. So we'll just jump right in as we start every one of these with, yeah.
Four big mistakes.
This is the best way to do it, but it's kind of like here's where we tend to screw up.
Yeah.
As leaders. And again, AI is ubiquitous. It's everywhere. It's in the lexicon and everybody's doing stuff. From a leadership perspective, when you start bringing it in, you deploy AI into inefficient processes, accelerating waste instead of improving outcomes. Now, just pause for a moment and do a little reflection here. When's the last time you really looked at your processes, the way that you're organizing the work in your business? If you haven't examined it, if you haven't done a forensic analysis, is it elegant? Are there unintended consequences that your process actually keeps generating that you have to keep going back and fixing? Don't dump AI on top of that. If you dump AI on top of that, it's not going to be pretty.
Yeah. It's gonna do some things. It's going to accelerate some challenges, which hooks to the next challenge. Technology owns the implementation while leadership avoids redesigning how decisions are made. And it's actually, I was thinking about this point from one of the common mistakes made is it's not just about how decisions are made, but you're assuming that this is a technological implementation. And because we're implementing with technology, I don't have to change anything. I don't have to redesign anything else. And therefore, I'm going to keep the same cadence, the same decision process, the same things that we've done, and leap with the assumption, which is a good word, leap with that assumption, thinking, I've got carte blanche. Technology is going to get me through it.
Yeah.
There's no integrative part of this.
And what actually, this last piece here, or not last piece, the next one is specific around this. Yeah. You introduced it because you wanted to save time, cut costs, reduce inefficiency, all whatever it is that you use to justify the introduction of an AI agent into the workflow. But here's the problem. Your employees may be saving time, but there's a disruption that has occurred to the relationship that people have with the way that things are done. The problem with change is never the change itself. The problem with change is the disruption to existing relationships that people have that the change causes. So changes to how we're collaborating, how we're deciding things, how we're executing things. If I'm saving time, all of a sudden, there's ways that time gets utilized differently that is a disruptor into the, in the fabric of the universe, so to speak.
Right.
And that becomes very problematic.
Yeah. Yeah. Which we're going to spend some time in this last one, which you announced the initiative, then assume people will figure out how to integrate AI into their work. You want to make, yeah. Again, that word assumption and integrating it into it, because it is like all shifts, and not just in technology, there's an integrative part, right? And I love the fact, Blaine, that you touched on it, that we're comfortable, we develop relationships with stuff. When we talk to leaders, we develop a relationship with our chair. I love my chair. Don't give me a different chair. I want it's got the perfect height. Don't change anything on me. So we create these relationships. And when we make the announcement, we're just going to assume that people are going to figure it out, and they're going to figure out how to integrate it.
And it's that integration. I mean, the title slide here, AI is here. Now what? Yeah. That's the leadership question that needs to be answered effectively. Now what? If we're going to introduce this, now what? Well, here's where everything starts to readjust. Yeah. And if you're not in front of it, it's going to bite you in the behind.
Yeah. Or as I taught my granddaughters, the word took a lookie.
Took a lookie. And they know what that means.
Yes. It's going to get you right in the took a lookie.
So there's ways that you can identify that you've missed the mark here.
Yeah. Yeah. These are symptoms. There's more symptoms than this, but leaders, as you listen to this, the reason why we design the symptoms are to give you things to look, listen, and feel inside of the body of your organizations. One of the things that we see that happens, and it goes back to that comment I made earlier about decisions, is that projects still require multiple approvals despite AI generated insights. You're still living in a world, you've moved into a world where AI is doing what you wanted it to do, which is generating more information quickly, but you've not shifted that paradigm of how you make decisions and how you move forward in your business. You've not evaluated the bumper rails, is the word that comes to my mind. Like, you've not modified the bumper rails. So you're still moving at the same cadence of decisions with faster data.
Which directly leads us into number 2 here. The teams have got more information, and they're probably to some degree trusting that information, but they don't have more authority to act. And to the point that you were just making, you now have it faster, but your decision structure still requires sign off and check off and all, things along that line. So the agency that people experience to actually execute on the new information that they've gotten faster than they've ever gotten it before stops dead in its tracks until they get sign off. Yeah. So that whole notion of agency starts to come into play.
Yeah. And in it, so AI is a fact, right? This is the 6th or 7th. I forget. I read an article this past week, Blaine. This is the 6th or 7th technological innovation in the last 30 years, give or take a nickel, right? But people are using AI individually while the organization continues to operating exactly as before. One of the important things that I think has to come out of this is, in the body of your organization, leaders, whether you want it or not, people are using AI.
Yep.
They just are.
They are.
It's a commodity. For $20 a month, I can go get a Perplexity, Google, Grok, Gemini, Notebook LM, ChatGPT, Claude. I can go for $20 a month. I can go do that, and I can afford that under the assumption that AI is going to improve my work performance, and therefore give me velocity in my career. People are using AI, regardless of what you're doing inside of the body of your organization.
Yeah.
Even if if you haven't adapted, you're adapting. Your people have adapted, and your organization has not made the shift.
Yeah. There's protocols.
It's going to break stuff.
It's going to break stuff. Yeah. And if your IT department doesn't know exactly what's going on here, your budget's going to take a hit. There's going to be some real interesting, the lack of oversight on the way that the tokens are being accessed and the spend associated with that. It may be a $20 a month subscription, but the token structure starts to, moot that $20 buy real quickly if you're not working with it well. So people are using AI, but the organization continues to operate like it did before.
Yeah. That's an interesting point you bring forward, the point around finances, because they'll cloak it and it'll get expensed. It will be expensed into the body of your organization.
And your comptroller or your CFO all of a sudden goes, what the? Their eyes get big, and the CEO is breathing down the CFO's neck, and the CFO now and the CEO now go to the CTO and
run the formula.
What did you do to us?
$20 a month times 100 employees times 12 months.
Yeah, and that's at a bare minimum.
Yeah, that's overly conservative number.
So Peter Drucker, one of our favorite business gurus, love some of his sayings. The biggest danger in times of turbulence is not the turbulence. Again, the problem with change isn't the disruption that change causes. It's the act with yesterday's logic. Okay, we used to do it this way. This is how we do. This is how we make decisions. This is how we implement. This is the time it takes to do. There's logic. There is existing logic that made sense at the time it was formulated.
Right.
Strange new world, brave new world. Yesterday's logic will not carry today's perturbing, disrupting new modality. It just won't carry it.
I love that quote because it hooks it to you and I talk about the definition of success.
Yep.
Which is
developing the capacity to continuously start over. That capacity question. Capacity has to do with examination of all kinds of different things.
Yeah.
What do we hold on to? What do we let go of? What do we bring in new?
Yeah.
We're going to be new learners. If we start moving into new territory, we can't know the safe path. So what got us here, Marshall Goldsmith won't get us there. I was going to say Marshall McLuhan. I'm going to date myself there.
Well, we won't get into age.
No.
Not.
So where do we go with this? We're looking at AI, the implementation and the adaptation and adoption of AI in your organization through the lens of leadership. Influencing others in order to co-create coordinated movement in pursuit of a worthy ideal. And that worthy ideal is what matters. What matters to me, what matters to you, what matters to us. Do not underestimate the power of identifying what matters, because it will either encourage adaptation and adoption or it will kick it out. Logic has no place in this conversation.
Right.
You can make the business case for it, but if it doesn't land and resonate with people in a way that says this matters to us in this way and for this reason, it's going to get kicked out. The system will look at it as a bad thing.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think just to pause on it from a leadership perspective, I think that's we'll get into some statistics and some other information around AI projects, but one of the challenges is the assumption that I can bypass leadership norms for the sake of AI and with pressure. So as we head into some of the subsequent part of the conversation, there is that, but AI, and it goes back to some of the symptoms and the four big mistakes that people make, right? Influencing others, and then to co-create. In AI, there can be, when it's viewed as that, and I've seen this before in other organizations, when it's a technology implementation, it's a command and control. I am getting ready to do this to you, not with you and for you.
Yep.
Which which automatically disconnects your team.
Co-creating coordinated movement. That's the leadership challenge. How do you co-create coordinated movement? It's not a command and control issue.
No. Oh no. No. And that's an art that gets lost inside of technology. Technology is
That's why we spend a full year on our mastermind.
about the do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the soul, the soul of business experience. How do you actually lead in perturbing times? It's not a one size fits all. So we spend a full year unbundling this thing called leadership, and this is one of the things that we end up working with. It's how do you land on a worthy ideal in the
Every
face of all kinds of perturbation, all kinds of disruptions? What's the leadership move to be made here?
Yeah. Yep. Every week. Love that. This is I wanted to do
I
this.
love this graphic. I love this graphic. Yeah.
One of the things that I think we lose track of is there's all kinds of things around built in behind it. There's Moore's law and there's right. One of the interesting things as I was doing research, thinking about this power of you, and we know this because we've talked about this a lot in what we do. The latest generation in today's workforce is 30 to 45 years old. They grew up with the internet. They mastered the internet. They've adapted the cloud. They've adapted mobile technology. They've learned data-driven business. Now they're being asked to lead leadership transformation. And leadership transformation, leaders, as you're listening to this is the art and nuance that has not occurred across the body of this timeline. What's occurred through the body of the timeline is the emergence of technological changes: cloud, mobile, social media, big data. Boy, I remember
Big data. Ooh.
I remember lecturing the FBI on big data. That was a scary another day. And then software as a service platforms. And then now we're doing generative AI. But across the body of this timeline, as we tend to look at it, these are milestones that have happened across history. But we don't look at what were the areas where we adapted leadership for each of these steps. And candidly, we've fallen a bit behind.
Mm-hmm. Most of these people are not being taught how to lead. They're being asked to lead the initiative, lead the rollout. Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're actually managing the rollout not particularly effectively because they actually, and this is a broad generic description here, but they missed the leadership piece on the front end. Leadership
Right.
is about possibility, generating the idea in somebody's mind that this possibility is valuable. This possibility is it's worthy of us. It's worthy of me. It's worthy of you. And if that hasn't landed, which is a leadership conversation, I don't care what your management execution roadmap looks like, it's not going to carry the water you want it to carry. It's just not going to get there. And it's a breakdown in effective leadership. They're not being taught how to lead.
Yeah.
And this is not at the senior level. This is throughout the organization. Lead throughout the organization. What does it mean to co-create coordinated movement as we implement new technology that has incredibly disruptive dynamics associated with it?
Yeah. Yep.
That's the challenge. So, and speaking of challenge,
framing slide. So defining the challenge, right? AI is so, and I think this is really interesting. One of the things I was thinking about this as we were doing this plane in preparing for this is the opening sentence: AI isn't another software implementation. It's for technology that requires leaders to redesign how people. And it's funny because one of the key differentiating factors is in AI is it's an intimate experience. The internet is not an intimate experience. We've only been talking for like 4 hours, so
yeah, it's been a long morning already.
but it's not software as a service. Big data is not, and they are things. The internet is a place to go. Software as a service is a tool. Big data is a bucket. But AI becomes an intimate experience, and we see those domains, and particularly with the bumper rails that we see Some of the AI vendors pulling down the bumper rails on intimate conversations with AI. AI has become a thing we talk with, give names to. Like my son calls his AI. So he told me something. He gave me the name of his AI last night. He told me he was talking to somebody and then went, wait, whoa, 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 who is that? Because,
Who is that?
I named my AI. Okay. Let's move
Yeah.
on. Let's move on. But because of that, it requires how we define leadership, because now there's duality. You and I just finished talking about communication for 3 months, 13 weeks, right?
Yeah.
So now we have a communicative challenge because we have a technology that we are intimate with. And it impacts thinking, deciding, and working.
Yep.
It's not a
tool, so to speak.
No, it is not.
More and more.
It tells me how smart I am.
Yeah, and more. I mean, this is not going to go away. More and more as the evolutionary process accelerates and continues, which it is. I mean, yeah, each 6 weeks we got a new edition, a new iteration coming out. Pick your platform.
Yeah.
These agents, these agentic AI agents, are becoming part of the team. And people, to your point, people are having conversations with them. I don't care if it's an autonomous agent out there doing whatever it is.
Yeah.
You've got a superordinate agent that is running it that you're having a conversation with.
Yeah.
This whole open claw phenomena that is structuring all of these other agents out there. You're having a conversation with that master agent.
Yeah.
And that's part of your team.
Yeah.
How do you lead with that in place here? That's an interesting question.
Yeah. So what's happening?
Yeah. These projects, go ahead. Yep.
I was going to say it's fun as we look at this. Just, and boy, we never ever really get into a lot of statistics in this. So I'm gonna go quick through this slide. But what's happening is most of the AI projects fail. It's not a technology issue. They fail because the organization failed to adapt when they're integrating. It's not just AI, installing AI, but integrating AI into the leadership systems. And they're bringing them in. And the systems aren't designed to cohabitate, is the word that comes to mind. And it's fascinating because most companies, only 5% of the companies are generating sustained P&L. And that's a broad brush statement. We didn't define the kind of companies, but most of the companies aren't generating P&L impact from AI. As a matter of fact, it's going the other way around. It's costing them more money. There's a negative impact because of the AI without integration.
Yeah, the primary issue there is weak transformational discipline. It's not the capability of the AI. This is the leadership question. And I've got a hunch this. I mean, this data is from McKinsey and it's recent data. This is 2026 information here. Only 27% of leaders believe their organizations are ready for the people and culture changes that AI requires. And I know that that's an overestimate because it's a self-assessment. It's a self-assessment. And people will tend to self-assess in very interesting ways here. They'll minimize stuff. But if we just take that at face value, this is still pretty damning information in terms of the implementation, the effective, elegant implementation of AI into an organizational system and structure such that it actually begins to pay for itself.
Right.
It's not going to happen if the organization isn't ready for it. They may understand it from a business case, but if they're not ready to integrate and adapt and adopt it, it's not going to fly.
Yeah, it's interesting because one of my buddies is runs AI for a very, very large software company that will remain nameless, ServiceNow, and little tiny company out there, tiny company. And we were chatting, and one of the things that we were talking about, and I was asking him about the phases of AI implementation because he's stepped into that role over the last 2 or 3 years. And the challenges that he's facing is their AI implementations aren't succeeding because the organization wasn't adapted to receive AI. They started with, do I have the technology and can we write prompts? And then of those prompts, what SOPs can I go change? Rather than doing an integrative point. And their success rate was less than 27%. They were substantively lower. And part of the challenge is the organization is being willing to shift that perspective and integrate AI to a beneficial. AI is awesome.
It is. And the promise is real. The promise of what it makes possible is real. The reality is that leaders think that AI transforms organizations. It does in some very interesting ways. Leadership determines whether AI creates organizational value. So AI will transform the organization. The value proposition, however, is in the hands of the leadership body in the organization, not just the executive group that thinks of themselves as the leaders. Leadership throughout the organization. Leadership throughout the organization. Remember how we define leadership: influencing in order to co-create coordinated movement in pursuit of a worthy ideal. That influencing piece is throughout the organization. That coordinated movement piece is throughout the organization. That co-created ownership piece, co-creating, is throughout the organization. It can't be done by fiat. It can't be done by the CTO or the CEO saying, go forth and conquer. It has to live in the body of the organization. And that's why we go back to a couple of slides. Folks are not trained in how to do that from a leadership perspective. AI accelerates existing behaviors. And if existing behaviors are we work in silos here, it doesn't improve that. It actually reinforces it. Organizational weaknesses are exposed faster than it fixes them. You get behind the curve real quickly with this if you're not leading the process. Information doesn't produce better decisions. Information, you're missing the wisdom piece. How do we use this information?
Such an important point. That could have just been a whole slide all by itself, but
it could have been. And then the final point here, competitive advantage isn't AI. It's the organization's ability to adapt and utilize it well. That's the competitive advantage.
Yeah. It's funny. I had a conversation, slight debate with a gentleman a couple of weeks ago, and we were talking about the phases of an AI implementation. And he ended his phase description at an AI enabled company. And we got all the way to the end, and I made the suggestion. That is the next to last phase. What's the word? Penultimate.
Penultimate, yes.
Penultimate phase. The final phase is an AI adaptive organization that has learned to adapt with AI and leverages AI to create that adaptation. And that is what gives it the ability to continuously succeed. That's where you hit velocity.
Yeah. So the mindset that allows for all of this to begin to occur, prepare the organization before deployment. Yeah. Duh. Yeah. Yeah.
My mom, bless her, rest her soul, was the head collections agent for Chippendales.
Oh, goodness.
And she was about 4'11", 125 pounds wet on any given day. And I remember her coming to my house one day, long time ago, in tears because they were rolling out a brand new software tool called CC Mail. Email was emerging, and they were rolling out CC Mail. She came home in tears, and she was destroyed because they had told her if you couldn't master it, you were going to be fired. So we spent the evening learning CC Mail together, and when you think of that, that's why I love that first bullet. I always think of my mom and her days of trying to collect money for Chippendales. Another story. But I prepare my organization before I deploy technology. It is that mindset that technology does things to you, not with you, and moves it from that way.
Yeah.
And then if AI creates confusion, I have not created clarity. Clarity creates confidence.
hmm Leadership move. That's a leadership move. Yeah. If decisions continue climbing the hierarchy, we gotta escalate this. Gotta escalate it. Gotta. Let me run this up the flagpole. See what they think.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Empowerment is missing. This again. We go back to one of the earlier slides. The decision-making process has not caught up to the actual generative promise that AI is producing. Yeah, here's the data. Let's make a decision. We've got the data we need. Well, no, we can't do that without permission. Why do you have the AI agent in the beginning? even working if you're going to be dragging your feet on this? Speed to market, speed to implementation. All of these things start to erode if you're not examining your decision tree in a way that allows for the effective use of the AI information or the information that AI is generating for you.
Right. Right. And I think one of the, which we've talked about this the next bullet, which is every AI initiative, it's ultimately a leadership initiative. And I think it gets lost. It gets hung up, Blaine, I think, in that desire on implementing AI. Well, a couple of reasons. First, I'm implementing AI because everybody else is. And I'm feeling that competitive pressure to implement AI, or I'm going to be left behind. Fred's got AI, therefore I need AI. And I'm not leveraging AI for the sake of what?
Mm-hmm.
AI is standing out all by itself in the field, and we'll do that for the sake of what? AI is going to get me some stuff, but we'll get this thing the other way.
Yeah.
What doesn't become of that? It doesn't become part of the leadership initiative of the organization as you move towards it. And it stands in that silo of technology and gets lost. It just gets lost. It becomes part of the do.
Yeah. And in this context, literally every initiative in an organization, whether it's AI or anything else, is ultimately a leadership initiative. AI today has to be seen through the lens of it being a leadership initiative, moving us into that worthy ideal more effectively, ideally, more elegantly, ideally.
Right.
All of that comes into play. Technology scales behavior. Leadership determines which behaviors get scaled. So, yeah, just unbundle that in your mind for a little bit. Those of you that are actually involved with, rolling out an AI initiative in your organization, what behavior is actually being impacted? Okay. And if you're not paying attention to it, it's going to develop on its own. Leadership determines which behaviors get scaled. And that's, energy follows attention. And when people start introducing new technologies, they start paying attention to different things that may not be serving the kind of movement that you'd like to see happening in the organization to get you where you say you'd like to go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Love that. Love that.
So all of this, we can net this down to 5 little bullet points. Kind of what do you do? We'll start with redesign decision rights. Yeah. You're going to have information faster. You're going to have the ability to make decisions as a consequence of that much quicker. But if your decision rights, your decision tree hasn't been pruned, hasn't been re-examined, the fact that you've got now data that you can move in, that's actionable much faster, if it still keeps moving up the same railroad tracks,
right?
Yep,
you're hung up.
You're hung up.
The one thing, and there is in the library of the powers of use, there's I think an 8 series conversation we had on how to make decisions, the 8 steps of decisions. which we have 7 steps. No, it got expanded to 8. I don't know, something happened.
Something like that. Yeah.
Something like
There's a bunch.
But standardize and very similar, right? Redesign decision, standardize them, remove the approval layers. One of the things I think that's important, I love this statement. If AI reduces analysis time, but decisions still wait for executive sign off, nothing has changed.
Yep.
You still are the constraint. And you probably think you're helping.
Yep. Now, the reluctance that leaders feel, the executives feel, the people in charge feel to hand that off, because you're really looking at making decisions faster. And if you make decisions faster, that means that they're being made closer to the work that's being done.
Right.
The resistance, the reluctance there has to do with accountability. I'm still, as the boss, held accountable for the decision that my people are making. Can I trust them? Build accountability into adoption. This is the leadership move that you make with the people that are actually closer to the work. They need to know how to lead. Make decisions that are in service to something that matters. Why does this matter? What's the upside? What's the downside? What's the consequence?
Yeah.
All of that stuff comes into play here. You need to teach people how to embrace it.
Yeah. Which is that, I'm going to say it. Accountability is not a Trello board.
We almost got through one without bringing in a Trello.
Not a spreadsheet. And accountability is mutual agreement between 2 or more people to successfully move together towards a common outcome. You measure it with those tools. Accountability is agreement.
Yep.
It's
That
an
can be
agreement.
held. People are held accountable based on the agreements that they make.
Yes. Then you use tools to measure that.
Yes.
Accountability is not a tool. And then remove frequency. Review the friction frequently. That's a lot of words to say in kind of one breath there, right? But it's interesting there. One of the things I love doing, because we want friction. You and I talk about this from a leadership perspective. We want friction because without friction, there's no movement, right? But you want to have that conversation around the kind of friction that exists, and particularly where it creates bottlenecks. And it's not you. It's you asking questions.
Yep.
What could we have done to move this forward more elegantly? What did I do to prevent it from moving forward? Well, we had to wait for you for 13 days because you were on a cruise in the Bahamas. Well, that's silly.
Yep. But it happens.
Raise my hand.
Yeah.
I can state the year and date that occurred on a large opportunity. So review the friction. Don't make the assumption again that what you have created doesn't need adaptation.
Mm-hmm. And a bottleneck, a friction point, a choke point, those sorts of terms are used very specifically here. So what you want to be able to do is say, hey, this is good news. I now know where the squeak is. Do we need to eliminate it, or do we want to actually use it as a canary in the coal mine, sort of
Perfect.
You want to have the bells and whistles in here that are indicating when things are going off the rails.
Right. Right.
So these governing behavior conversations are not about let's just throw everything out, and just let it run through a clean pipe. That's not going to work.
No, you get an interesting result doing that.
Yes, you will.
You do. So why does this matter? We're talking about a known thing. So some statistics to think of. The very first number statistic is 100% of all enterprise organizations are implementing AI. SMBs of 100 to 200 employees have doubled their technology budget, but have reduced their training budget because the money's being redirected to AI.
Yep.
So these are statistical facts. And by the way, these facts came about because we didn't ask ChatGPT. I actually read on this. Read articles. Weird how that
article
works.
on this. Yes.
I don't understand. I actually read stuff. So, but the organizations, when you're when you prepare your organization for an AI experience, and by the way, this isn't a serial process, it's a parallel process. It lives across the body of the engagement. I don't do this and then do that. I do it together. And you end up with faster decision making because authority matches. That's so important, because if you don't have that wired as you're heading into the implementation, you can't get to the other side.
Mm-hmm.
Trust.
Yeah, and this whole notion of trust. Yeah, you're going to make faster decisions because there's more trust in place. Yeah, my good friend, our good friend, Stephen Covey Jr. Wrote a book called The Speed of Trust, and he talks about this very specifically. Yeah, when there is high trust in an organizational structure, high trust on a team, decision making moves much, much faster. If there's low trust, everything slows down. Yeah, and in today's environment, you cannot afford to do that.
Right.
So faster decision making happens when you've got greater trust. Greater trust happens when you've got greater clarity about what the expectations are.
Yeah.
And then you end up with more consistent and more effective execution, because the teams are sharing common operating principles. You've now actually kind of ironed out some of the kinks that would have impeded what it is that you're trying to make happen, which ultimately lends itself to now you're staged for greater growth. This is a staging process, but it's a leadership transformation. It's not a tech rollout. You're not rolling out AI. You're transforming the way that leadership is handling this new way of going to market, this new way of organizing. AI is an organizing tool. It's an organizational tool.
Yeah, so that's so important, because I love why there's so many more reasons why this matters. They'll blame, but it is that at the end of the day, and you and I talk about this all the time, leaders cause movement. Right? That is the role of the leader, is to cause movement. And when you cause movement, you cause change, friction, all of the other things that happen, make people uncomfortable. I'm talking about that on our mastermind this morning.
Yeah.
People get uncomfortable, right? But it is that, and it's that important. The thing I like about this is that it becomes a leadership transformation. And by the way, it's the leaders, as you listen to this, it is not you. It is you and them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You can change you. But if you haven't done that,
that's a leader transformation.
Yes.
This is a leadership transformation. So think of leadership as a verb, not as a noun. So the leadership, that verbiage, that verbs cause action. Verbs are action oriented. Leadership is an action structure. It has to live in the organization top to bottom.
Yep.
And left to right.
Yeah. And AI just happens to be one of the reasons why you have to have that structure. Yep. There are others. I can think of a couple.
One or two
other reasons. Big win. Organizations won't outperform competitors because they purchase better AI. Let's say that again. Organizations won't outperform competitors because they purchase better AI. Your grok won't be bigger than Fred's grok. It's not going to help you. They'll outperform competitors because they built organizations capable of using AI better.
Yep. So, the tech provides the opportunity. Leadership determines whether that opportunity actually translates into performance that generates the result that you would like to see happen. So, in that context, AI is an engine, but leadership is the operating system in which that engine actually resides.
Right.
Yeah, without the OS, I don't care what kind of program you're introducing. If the OS doesn't handle it,
you can't get there.
You can't get there from here. Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
No, you can't get there. You could try.
You could try. Yeah.
You could try.
Well, this is Yeah, AI is here. Now what? Well, that's what we've been talking about here today. These powers of you exist. And Dolan mentioned we've got over 80 of them now, I think, that we
Yes.
assembled
Oh, yeah.
into a catalog.
I don't even know.
And the intent with these powers of you programs is to provide information for you as a leader that is ideally going to enhance your ability to, number one, think about who you are as a leader and what your leadership could be and where you might be stubbing your toe a little bit. So we've covered all kinds of topics. We mentioned decision making. We looked at quality
Oh gosh.
through the lens of leadership. We've gone through friction. There's 80 different topics. All of them are around 45 minutes to an hour. The invitation is to not just let them reside in a library, a catalog library, but find one that's appropriate for what you're dealing with your team today. Pull it out of the library and lay it on the table. Say, hey guys, let's watch this and then talk about what's up with us around this. So it can become a catalyst for a conversation that can generate a new way of thinking, a new way of working, and ultimately perhaps a better fix on a performance issue that you may be finding yourself running into. So you can get access to the entire library by going to this bit.ly piece or URL, or just scan the QR code. And that is a community, a networking community, leadership networking community that Dolan and I curate. There's all kinds of stuff in there. In addition to the power of you, there's a couple of other programs. We've got free articles. Dolan's and my current books are in there in PDF form, so you have access to those. There's just all kinds of stuff that's in this community. It's not just the Power of You library. There's all kinds of things available to you there.
Yeah.
So take advantage of it. It's there for a reason, and we hope that it's useful for you. So we encourage you to just kind of grab it and see what you can do with it.
There you go.
So
Good talk. Good talk.
Yeah, this is a good one. I mean, selfishly speaking, and since we're an audience of two, I think we did a good job.
I think so too. Well, I saw a couple of folks out there, a couple of comments. So
yeah. So
Sarah,
folks, thank you for tuning in.
So
yeah.
So it's important. I think one of the things I would encourage leaders is two things. Very first is come join the community and leverage the library of Powers of You. There's a boatload of them out there. But I would encourage you to really revisit the conversation around AI. Visit that conversation. Visit it with your team. We went extremely high level today without getting into a lot of the nuances on how you do this stuff.
Yeah,
because we can't. This is not the forum for that. But do revisit it with your team and use it as a launching pad for conversations and ask your team questions. Have we done these things?
Feel free to reach out to Dolan and myself. Yeah, we are very available to field a couple of questions at a high level, but we can also point you in directions that may be useful to you. So don't be shy. Yeah, and you can go to on that community site that I just referenced.
There you go.
Go there. There's a link to both of our calendars so that you could actually schedule a bit of time if you wanted to and see what's up. We'd love the opportunity to work with you.
There you go. All right.
Okay, my friend.
Dr. Bartlett.
We're out of here for this week. Thank you, sir.
We're out.
This has been good. Enjoy your time off. You're playing hooky this afternoon, so
I am gonna hang out with my girl.
You go enjoy it. I've got about 4 more meetings that I need to get into today.
Yeah.
I'll talk to you later.
After 40 years, I'm happy she lets me do that. So there we go.
There you go.
All right.
There you go. Okay. Signing off.